But it is downtown Donetsk that has witnessed shellings by the Ukrainian troops 2 weeks ago. According to reports, a government building was supposed to be the target, but the missiles hit a civilian building, which meant it has resulted in casualties. Here's a report by our Foreign Affairs editor Geeta Mohan from the war zone. Take a look.
We are here in downtown Donetsk, and what we are trying to show you is an attack by the Ukrainian side. You can see the kind of devastation on the other side, which got hit by the Tochka. This is the building that got hit, and I'll show you. This is where it landed. 20 people were killed. That's the memory. That's the memory of the people whose lives were lost. And the entire building over here, you can see the marks of shelling. If you see, there are marks of shelling everywhere in the building. I have a Serbian journalist who's been covering Donetsk for a while now. If you could just join us over here. The photographs also that have been put. If you could tell me what the purpose, according to you, has been for the kind of attack that we've seen from the Ukrainian side in an area that has civilian population.
Can I just give a little bit of context?
Yes.
Donetsk and Lugansk are targeted for 8 years by Ukrainian side, but lately it's noted that the attacks are even more frequent than before. I talked with some military personnel, and it's totally speculative what I'm going to say, but one possible explanation is that Ukrainian troops which are stationed in Donetsk or near Donetsk right now, it's possibly more than 50,000 of them. So it's a huge troop, and possibly they are sending the sort of a message to Russians.
Will there be a ceasefire? Will there be an end to war? Can there be negotiations where both sides' demands are met and kept? We'll be reporting on that. With journalist Satya Rautre in Donetsk, Geeta Mohan for India Today.
Foreign Affairs editor Geeta Mohan is in Donetsk and explaining now what do the Z and V signs across rebel stronghold of Donetsk actually means, getting you this very exclusive ground report. Take a look.
We are here in Donetsk. That's the Z sign on most of the cars here in Donetsk. What does Z denote? Z denotes independence. Russia and the breakaway factions of Donbas region, Donetsk, what they call Donetsk People's Republic, DPR, are together fighting the Ukrainians. And the two signs that they use are signs that Ukraine also recognizes distinctly as being anti-Ukraine, which is V for victory and Z for independence. In Donetsk, you will not see a lot of V signs, you'll see Z. Why? Because the call is for independence. So a lot of cars over here that you see have the Z sign, only saying that they do not want to remain with Ukraine. They want independence, something that Russia supports. Why? Because having a pro-Russia Donbas region means security for Russia, with a pro-Western or pro-West tilting Ukraine that certainly has not gone down well for Moscow, and with the kind of increased involvement of West with the Ukrainian authorities in Kyiv, it seems like this call in Donbas is supported and backed by Russia. This is journalist Satya Rautre in Donetsk, Geeta Mohan for India Today.
It's day 32 and Russia's war machine is still not slowing down. The Russian Defense Ministry now shared a video footage. This is of an airstrike on an Ukrainian Buk missile system performed by an Iskander missile. Now in Mariupol, for example, residents are hunkering in basement as they try to stay alive amid the destruction that is all around them for more than a month now. Fresh explosions reported near Ukraine's western city of Lviv, and this, remember, all of this happening while President Joe Biden wrapped up his visit in neighboring Poland. Meanwhile, Ukraine's capital has revoked the 35-hour curfew. Kyiv mayor has said the curfew will run from 8 p.m. local time on Saturday to 7 a.m. on Monday, with local residents will be allowed to leave their homes only to get to a bomb shelter. Now, the southern port city of Mariupol has suffered relentless shelling since Russia began its operations. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky expressed gratitude toward his soldiers on the National Guard Day. Zelensky awarded troops and had photos also taken with them.
This is the name of the cycle factory. It was a bicycle factory, Ardes. a big cycle factory here, which was destroyed by this missile strike. Look, the smoke in the air everywhere, and the whole factory was destroyed. This is the name, Artes. Look here, from this end to that end, which is about 200 meters away, everything destroyed.
This means that Russia continues bombardment in Ukraine, and in the latest, the Russian Defense Ministry released more footage, and they are saying that this is the launch of a Caliber cruise missile which hit their target in the Zhytomyr region in east of Ukraine. Now, what has happened in the last few days? Putin's army launched several missile attacks on Ukraine. Earlier, Russian forces launched missiles from the Black Sea and several other locations on Ukraine. The Lutsk military airfield, the Ivano-Frankivsk Air Base, the Melitopol Air Base and several other airfields in Ukraine have already witnessed the bombardment from Russia, which has led to destruction and even loss of life. Let's go to now another city. This is the Lviv city in the western part of Ukraine. This has acted as a safe space for Ukrainians who are fleeing from the war and has become the latest target, though, of Russian airstrikes. According to reports emerging from the ground, 3 loud explosions were heard near Lviv on Saturday and triggering air raid sirens in the city. 5 people injured in the blast in the outskirts. Heavy black smoke was seen rising from the northeast city of the site. The attack on the western city came at a time when, remember, United States of America's President Joe Biden was in Poland, leaving a distance of only 400 kilometers between Biden and the ongoing missile strikes. And India Today is on the ground in different countries to get you a global perspective. India Today senior executive editor Gaurav Sawant gives you the latest updates on day 32 of Putin's invasion of Ukraine and how is the world reacting. Take a look at this report.
Late-night missile strikes in Lviv have sparked off fresh fears that Russia is now systematically targeting the western part of Ukraine, so far considered relatively safe. Though the West has been targeted in the past with missile strikes both in Lviv and at the Ivano-Franko Air Base, this time 5 people were injured in a strike that took place not far at a fuel dump, a strategic fuel dump that the Russians feel was being used to supply fuel to the Ukraine army and militia. Locals here say that if even Lviv is not safe, they will then have to flee to Poland. That's the only place for them to go. The situation here remains extremely grim. Kyiv, by and large, has remained peaceful, but the Russians now appear to be consolidating their positions towards the south and the east of the country. Overall, in the Donbass region, the Russians are advancing forward to consolidate their position in Donetsk and Luhansk, even as the Ukraine army has insisted it's mounted a series of counterattacks, destroying a number of Russian tanks, armored personnel carriers, and neutralizing some Russian troops. But in the fog of war, it is unclear on day 32 if Ukraine is able to strike back and hard at the Russian strongholds. Ukraine has also insisted it's mounted a series of counterattacks in the Kherson region in the south, and that is where the Russians have completely cut off Ukraine from the Sea of Azov and the Black Sea. From Mariupol to Kherson, the Russians once again trying to consolidate their position, even as Ukraine's forces try to strike back. With cameraman Lalit Mohan Joshi in Lviv, Ukraine, Gaurav Sawant for India Today.
And as this war now enters into the 32nd day, US President Joe Biden's Poland visit comes as a massive statement against the Russian aggression. So from visiting the US troops guarding NATO's eastern flank to witnessing the humanitarian toll of the Russian war firsthand, Biden has now taken stock of the war situation and has put the whole world on the edge. Here's a report of how and what is unfolding with regard to the West's response.
A month into Putin's invasion in Ukraine, defiant despite reverses. And now, US President Joe Biden's Poland visit comes as a massive statement against Russian aggression. From visiting US troops guarding NATO's eastern flank to witnessing the humanitarian toll of the Russian war firsthand, Biden took stock of the war that has put the whole world on the edge. After meeting the refugees who fled Ukraine amid the Russian assault, the US president did not hold back.
You're dealing every day with Vladimir Putin. I mean, look at what he's done to these people. What does it make you think? He's a butcher.
In a first since the start of the war, Biden held a meeting with the Ukrainian ministers in Warsaw, sending across a message of solidarity for President Zelensky leading Ukrainian fight back.
President Zelensky was democratically elected. He's Jewish. His father's family was wiped out in the Nazi Holocaust. And Putin has the audacity, like all our autocrats before him, to believe that might will make right.
Concluding his trip with an address in the Polish capital with a significant message to the war-torn country.
This war is not worthy of you, the Russian people. Putin can and must end this war. The American people will stand with you and the brave citizens of Ukraine who want peace.
Biden also dared Putin to keep his sight away from NATO.
American forces are in Europe, not in Europe, to engage in conflict with Russian forces. American forces are here to defend NATO allies. The reason we want to make clear is their movement on Ukraine. Don't even think about moving on one single inch of NATO territory.
The West has piled sanctions on the Russian economy, and it's already crumbling under its weight. Biden has made it clear that the squeeze won't stop.
Russian economy was ranked the 11th biggest economy in the world before this invasion. It will soon not even rank among the top 20 in the world.
With the war entering the fifth week, will the economic cost deter the unbendable Putin? Most crucially, will Biden's biggest ultimatum turn the tide for this war? Or will it make the US-Russia Cold War red hot?
US President Joe Biden's speech here in Poland, in Warsaw, was well received by a large number of people who said it gives them hope that the US stands with Warsaw, with Poland, with NATO countries. But there is a fear. The fear is, what about Ukraine? The fear is that what about the military hardware? Humanitarian assistance worth $1 billion for Ukraine is very good. But what about the military hardware that Ukraine requires very desperately to continue fighting with the Russians? Ukraine has demanded additional fighter jets. It's demanded the S-300 missile defense system. It's also demanded additional tanks. Will Ukraine get it, or will the fight remain restricted to small arms or the Javelin anti-tank guided missiles? That question remains. Gaurav Sawant in Warsaw, Poland for India Today.